Well, Secretary of State Antony Blinken reassured Israel that it has full support from the U.S. during meetings with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog. Blinken arrived in Israel today, his first stop of a diplomatic trip to the Middle East. So joining us now is CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. All right, Weijia, what does the administration hope to accomplish with Blinken's visit today?
Well, the secretary himself said that the message was pretty simple, that the U.S. has Israel's back. But it's very different to say that here and say it there on the ground where this massacre unfolded, and to show this support, which the secretary did during his meeting today with Blinken and other officials. So I think that, while these talks are ongoing, they are also just trying to reiterate that the U.S. isn't going anywhere, which is, of course, something that President Biden has said often, that the support is unwavering, and that we will be standing here beside you. Although, Anne-Marie, it's important to note at this point there are no plans to put any U.S. boots on the ground. The White House not even saying that they will do that to try to rescue those American hostages that were kidnapped. But they are also saying they're keeping all options on the table. And so I think that this is just an opportunity for the top diplomat in this country to really show where America stands on this.
Well, yesterday, President Biden issued a warning to Iran to, quote, be careful. What concerns the U.S. over Iran's ties to Hamas?
Well, these concerns are not new. They are longstanding because Iran has a history of funding Hamas, of supporting Hamas, of being linked to Hamas. And even though the White House says at this point there is no direct link between Tehran, Iran, and the attack that unfolded on Saturday, they have said that Iran was complicit in this, because if it had not been for those years of support, Hamas would not have the capability to do this. But as of right now, U.S. intelligence sources tell CBS News that Iranian leaders were caught off guard by the scope of this assault. But two things can be true. That can be true. It can also be true that Iran played a role in this. However, just to be clear, that has not been verified. But certainly there are worries, which is exactly why President Biden sent a very firm message for Iran to, quote, be careful. Not only Iran, but other potentially, bad actors that want to exploit the situation. That is precisely why the U.S. has sent its most advanced and newest aircraft carrier to that region as a message of deterrence.
So President Biden also announced aid to Israel in its war efforts. What kind of aid are we talking about?
Well, it's important to note that the U.S. has a long-standing relationship, a long-standing defense relationship with Israel, and already provides billions of dollars of support. What we're talking about now is a supplemental aid package that he has to work out with members of Congress, because they have to also approve this aid. And they haven't revealed any details, but we understand that it could be linked to aid for Ukraine, for Taiwan, for border security, because that's something that Republicans would demand. But in terms of Pentagon support, there are conversations to send another military aircraft there, in addition to everything that they've already sent, because Israel is going to need more munitions, it's going to need more artillery. But all of this depends too, Anne-Marie, on how quickly Israel blows through what they already have and just how much they will need. And so this is a critical and ongoing conversation, not only with the White House, but again, with Capitol Hill too.
And certainly if there is a ground invasion, where it looks like there is, if they have to fight in sort of an urban environment in Gaza, they're probably going to go through a lot of ammunition. Weijia, thank you very much.
Sure.